Fear stops us from achieving our true greatness. Are you a professional woman who is feeling stuck, unmotivated, or burned out? Are you worried about your wellness? Are you letting fear stop you from crushing your goals? If you answered yes to any or all of these, then this is the podcast for you. Dr. Charmaine Gregory, night shift emergency physician, burnout thriver, and wellness champion, along with everyday heroes just like you, will explore how to face fear in our lives and emerge victoriously.
Hello, Fearless Freedom Tribe. Welcome to another episode of Fearless Freedom with Dr. G. I am so glad that you are here. Oh, so glad. Thank you for all that you do and how you have helped the podcast crush the 14,500 downloads milestone and super close, so close that we can literally taste it. It's so close to 15,000. So I just know that this week we're going to hit 15,000, and I know that you are going to definitely play a part in that because you are thebomb.com. So thank you for your help in making this podcast a huge success. Here I am doing my happy dance. If you could see me, then you would know, but I know you can hear it in my voice. So thank you so much for subscribing to the podcast, listening to the podcast, sharing it with a friend or two, and leaving a 5-star rating. I appreciate you. It is a time for us in this country where we get around, a very monumentous event. And so that event is voting, Election Day. And so as citizens of the United States, we have the right to vote. For many, this right has come with great sacrifice by those who preceded us. Now, this is an opportunity to exercise that right. So I ask you, I implore you, please vote. Every vote does count, and you can make a difference. I know several physician podcasters are spreading the word about getting out there and voting in these weeks because it is super important. And we are using the hashtag #MedVote. So we want you to be among our number. We would love for you to exercise your right as a citizen. So awesome. Please go vote. Now, you hear me talking about, I've talked about this a couple times in the last few weeks. I've talked about, swag. Let's get swag for the show. Let's get swag. Let's get swag. Now, I'm still waiting for you to give me some feedback on what kind of swag. Do you want t-shirts? Do you want water bottles? What do you want? What should I stock the Tribe's swag store with? Thank you in advance for all your fantastic ideas. So, you know that this is a great time to start your podcast. You do know this, right? Hopefully you know this. If you don't know it, well, here's my suggestion to you. It is a great time to start your podcast. Now, there are some amazing women who basically took the podcasting launch course and have launched their shows. I feel like a proud mama because it is absolutely amazing to watch these shows be out there because they are pure fire. So I'm asking you, do me a solid. Check out these 3 shows that are currently out. Show them some love by subscribing, leaving a 5-star rating, and leaving a positive comment. The first show is Pivot and Bloom with Dr. Myla. Pivot and Bloom is essential? You should listen to this show. It is just really, really great. She does a phenomenal job in sharing about how her journey has completely transformed her life. And I know you'll find inspiration in her story and that your life will also be changed forever for the better. You will step into your greatness. Have a listen to Pivot and Bloom. Then we have the Drama-Free Workplace with Patty Perez. Now, Patty does a phenomenal job in what she does. She goes in and she does investigative work in a situation. She helps people in the workplace to have those difficult conversations and to essentially step on the other side as a drama-free scenario. So have a listen. Amazing content. She's on fire. The show is fire. I need for you to listen. And then the third show is Living at Your Finest. And this show is hosted by Dr. Delapo Babalola. And the show is pure fire, just like the other two. And it really focuses on your overall health, not only your physical health, but your mental health and your spiritual health. So check these shows out. Maybe you are interested in being part of the next class. Well, the current class is finishing up, and so that means that in a very short period of time, the next class will start up. Now, I will tell you that there is a waiting list, and that waiting list is filling up fast. So you want to go ahead and sign up today. Now, the link, I finally shortened it. Are you so proud of me? Is bit.ly, so bit.ly, L-Y, / P as in Paul, L as in Larry, C as in Carol, waitlist. Boom. So go ahead and sign up to be on the wait list. The other thing is maybe you're too busy to participate in a facilitated course, but you still want to get your show started. Not a problem. We have a solution for you. It is called the Podcast in a Box, and that is perfect for you. All you have to do is provide us with the first 5 episodes, the audio, and we will launch your show with a bang. We will do all the heavy lifting for you, and you can just focus on creating. Maybe you already have a show and you're looking to get those items off your hands, like editing, production, copy for your show notes, basically creating your graphic for each episode. Maybe you want to get that off your hands, and all you want to do is record. Then we have something for you as well. It is the Podcast in a Box monthly subscription, and that allows for you to do just that. Provide us with the audio, and we do all the heavy lifting. So where can you find out information? Where can you book a call to be able to see if which one of these is perfect for you? You can go to ferventlyfitwithcharmaine.com / D as in dog, F as in fish, Y as in yes, -- marketing. So get off the fear fence today. Your tribe is waiting to hear your voice. Don't keep them waiting. I am super excited to tell you that we did another live broadcast of the podcast. This episode 92, was recorded live, and it streamed on Facebook, it streamed on YouTube, as well as LinkedIn. And the episode was an interview with TheChefDoc, who is Dr. Colin Zhu. Amazing podcaster, physician, amazing guy. And so I am so excited for you to hear our conversation because it was so much fun, and I know that you're going to enjoy it. Have a listen. Hello, hello, hello. Welcome, welcome, welcome. You are tuning in live.
Hello. Good morning. I know.
I'm excited. It's like super early for him because he's on the West Coast and I'm on the East Coast. So 3 hours difference in case anybody is wondering and watching internationally, because I know that I get all the time zones confused myself, and I live in this country. So there you have it. So welcome to Fearless Freedom with Dr. G. Dr. Zhu has his own show, which is Thrive Bites, and which is an amazing show. But you know what? I'm not going to be the one to talk about all the amazing things that he's up to. I want him to tell you guys all about it. Take it away.
Well, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, depending on where you are. And I am so thrilled and excited to be here with you, Charmaine. So for those of you who do not know me, I'm Colin Zhu, Dr. Colin Zhu. And oh man, what do I want to say? So I'm a family physician, specifically targeting lifestyle medicine, culinary medicine, and what I like to call Thrive medicine. And basically all these good things to kind of take people to the next level of life. And and just doing it in my own, style. And like Charmaine has said, I host my own podcast called Fry Bites, which is also talking about that. She has been a lovely guest on my show as well. So
Thank you for being
definitely
on.
check,
Thank you for helping me out
her
with,
out and her story.
bringing me on your show, because it was so awesome. It was so awesome.
Yeah,
Something
we had
for
a
you
lot of
to
fun. I
have
love
a little
hearing about your
fangirling
story and stuff.
happening.
Yeah. I'm originally from New Jersey, based in LA right now. And whatever you want to know, just shoot, ask all the questions you want.
So, I have been following, of course I'm not stalking you or anything, but I do follow you on Instagram, and I see when you do all these projects, like you go around and you are able to highlight individuals who are doing amazing things to stay healthy, to help with sustaining our environment. So can you talk about some of those projects? Because those are pretty cool projects that you're getting involved in.
Yeah, so I do a few things. I like to, write for other publications. I like to kind of showcase what other people, do as well. So for my thing is, so my story background is I was raised by a Chinese medical doctor as a mother, and her entire world was prevention, wellness, and looking at the person as a whole. And what I learned the most from her is really how to look at someone holistically. And she taught me, compassion, empathy. I didn't come from a line of MDs. So I went into school thinking that I was going to marry East and Western medicine. And when I went into school, I found that, there wasn't really a lot of nutritional lifestyle education being taught. I'm sure, a lot of, medical colleagues would agree with. And after that, I realized that, a lot of what we face as a nation, the chronic disease burden, is, relating to all that. So in between medical school and residency training, I went into culinary school, and I use that education to really enhance what I do. Talking about where this food come from, talking about different food groups, how is it good for our body, our mental state, our emotional health, and things like sustainability, because it is intricately involved and intertwined with all of our lives, from climate change to the environment, to everything. So it's not as simple as going to a supermarket and seeing food right there. There's a lot of different steps in between, And I've been very, very heavily involved in terms of self-work and self-care. Been doing that for a third of my life, basically. I studied with, a lot of great mentors, read a lot, went to a lot of conferences. And I also, teach that as a tool, to enhance our emotional wellness and resilience. And hence, that's how I came up with the concept Thrive Medicine, because I really enjoy my life, and I enjoy where it is, and I thrive myself. And so it is super, super, super important for me to teach that as a tool and as a concept for people, so they can get the most out of their lives. So
Awesome. And then, so you mentioned a lot of things. You mentioned the fact that you had roots that were surrounding the whole person, like treating the whole person. And then you also mentioned that you had a vision when you went into medical school that you'd be able to marry both East and West as you practice medicine, right? And then you realized when you were there that, wait a minute, that's not how medicine is taught on this side of the world. And so then you said, well, you know what? I am going to find a way in which I'm going to be able to manifest this vision that I had when I entered the House of Medicine. And so then you did culinary school. And so you learned odd ins and outs about how to, basically enhance what you put in your body to allow for your whole self to be healthy.
Yeah.
And now, so then you go and you do your residency. So then you have, you come out, and now you've done. So for those who don't know what residency is the apprenticeship that occurs after you have finished your formal medical training in medical school to get into that specialized area that you choose to utilize for the rest of your career. So, you did all this, and then now you're out, and now you're able to basically execute the vision that you had when you first began the journey. So now you're able to use the skills you learned in culinary school, use the skills your mama taught you, and you also get to use the knowledge that you got from the medical training. So, I mean, that's amazing. That's amazing. You have to tell us, like, was there
Thank you.
any
Thank
time
you.
along the road where you felt fear? Like, there had to be at least one place where you were just like, oh my gosh, what shall I do here? Or how can I get
Definitely.
over this?
Definitely. Yeah, definitely. So thank you for recapping that. So it was very important to me that I received a lot of good education. So I became a DO. So for those of you who don't know what DO is, it's a doctor of osteopathy or doctor of osteopathic medicine. And their training and principles is really to look at people as a whole. The body is a unit, from spiritual to physical to emotional. And so I only applied to DO schools, right? And and that was very important, having the roots that my mom instilled in me. And then, fast forward, through school and then through residency, I had, pretty much, used that education to hold demonstrations, workshops, and publicly speak. So to answer your question, fear comes along where, you travel on this road where it is very individualized, and is very atypical, and is also very non-traditional. So what that means is that others who may not be in your shoes, no one can be in your shoes besides yourself, right? They might not understand, right? They may not get it. And so they may form opinions, they may form judgments, and even within your own family. Like a good example would be, after I got out of training, I did something called locum tenens, which is basically to hold a place in Latin. And what that means is that I was kind of like a substitute teacher for doctors, and so I would go around
That's
to
a good way
different
to put it.
places. I would go
Yeah.
around to different places and help physicians out, whether they move away, retire, have a baby, something like that. So they'll hire one of us to fill the place. And so even my own father thought that I was a true doctor, because
Oh
I would move around so much. And he was like, why would a doctor travel? Because I did this for 4 years. I practiced in 4 different states. I did, Indian health. I did, VA. I did community health.
no.
I worked at county medicine.
Awesome.
I had all kinds of experiences. And my dad was like, like, why do you travel? A doctor stays in place, right? And so, and then a little bit of, I wouldn't say so much as fear, but more like, doubt that things, because you travel such an atypical road. Robert Frost, in his famous poem says, you take the road less traveled, but, it's going to be, under some sort of scrutiny by others, right? So I think doubt, I think hesitation, I think, just concern and worry, they kind of fall under the umbrella of fear in some
Absolutely.
sort of way. And a lot of these different things crept into my mind as I traversed through my own career path. And yeah, for sure, just to answer your question, for sure, those things definitely crept into my head.
And how did you circumvent that? How did you either punch it in the face or walk around it, step over it? Like, how did you recognize this thing was there and you knew you had to accomplish the goal, or you knew you had to do the thing? I mean, you were public speaking when you were in medical school. That's amazing. A lot of us do it, right? I mean, we do it because we have to. So, I tell people all the time, like, we're always public speaking because we're presenting on rounds, we are talking to patients' families, like, we're always public speaking, but you're doing it in the capacity of workshops. So you were educating your peers about the topics that were of interest to you and you thought would be very helpful for them in their future practice. And so there's usually fear associated with that. There's usually like, I have a fear of public speaking. Like I've openly said this, and it's like, how did you do that? Like you recognize, yes, this is a road less traveled. You recognize, yes, that is something that you wanted to do and that you're going to do it. But there's something that pushed you past that fear.
Yeah, definitely. I would say a couple of things I'll mention is that, fear, public speaking is, considered one of the top, number one fears that people have. And one of the things I did really early on when I was at home, probably around medical school or in between residency training, was I knew that public speaking was going to be one of the tools that I was going to use to be able to get the message out there, right? And so I did something called Toastmasters. If you've never heard of
Nice.
it's a international organization focused only on public speaking, and the entire so many countries are involved in it, and I highly, highly, highly recommend it. If you want to get more involved in public speaking, because it's needed in almost every industry. And
Yes.
like you said, Charmaine, it's like, even when you're just conversing with someone on the street or, on a sidewalk, or if you're at a cocktail party, or, just family and friends, like you're also public speaking. It doesn't mean that you have to be on the stage to public speak. So I knew that I was going to do that. And so I, took that education. I did like a year of it. But the second thing that helped me was that I didn't focus on my fear. For those who follow Tony Robbins, what he says a lot is, energy flows where focus, goes, right? And so, so my bigger picture, my why, I think a big message to take away from this is your why. And my why to doing what I do is I want to be able to inspire. I want to be able to empower. I want to be able to inform, And so that was the bigger message. And so when I focused on the purpose of that, the whole purpose of why I do these workshops and why I publicly speak and, why I, created my, company and, did all this stuff, I focused on the bigger picture as opposed to focusing on my own, self-doubts, hesitations. A lot of professionals go through imposter syndrome, like I went through moments of that as well. Thinking that I wasn't enough. And, I just focused on the bigger picture.
No, that's awesome. That is awesome. And there's so much in there. Oh my goodness. But yes, I echo your sentiment on Toastmasters. Toastmasters is absolutely phenomenal. My husband and I did Toastmasters as a couple. So much fun. You just grow so tremendously when it comes to speaking, particularly extemporaneous speaking, which is kind of what we're doing right now. And also, my son, so we homeschool our children, but we have been participated in like a co-op where they do like extra classes. And so he had Toastmasters the last couple of years and he loved it. So Toastmasters is definitely phenomenal. And I'm so happy to hear that you did that so early, because it really primed you and prepped you for amazing future, because obviously you chose to do so much of that and you continue to do so much of that, which is great because it is absolutely impacting, your world. And it's doing everything that you are setting out to do as far as your why: inspire, empower, and inform. Boom. It's awesome. And then the other thing is, I love that you mentioned Tony Robbins, because he's absolutely amazing as well. I mean, so inspirational. That man started from absolutely nothing and look at him now. I mean, it's just incredible. There is basically, he's an example, literally, that, we can accomplish anything we put our minds to. Like, he just is, because of his life. And so the other thing I wanted to let you know is that you have a very positive comment coming from Dr. Maltz. She says that you're amazing and that she loves you, and she's joining us on LinkedIn. So thank you for tuning in, Dr. Maltz. I appreciate you. Awesome. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Yeah, no, that is fantastic. And, thank you for sharing those tips because I think that really helps. Because when we're in a space where either we're feeling imposter syndrome, like you mentioned, that a lot of us experience, no matter how accomplished we are, how many letters we have after our name, we still feel this way. And, it's usually unfounded, right? Because you have the expertise, you have the zone of genius to share, you just do, but you still feel kind of like, wow, is anybody gonna listen to
Mhm.
me? Like, am I good enough? And that's normal. So, you
Yeah.
know, if you feel it, just acknowledge that you feel it and just keep you doing you. Just keep doing you because that's what the world needs. They need more of you. So now tell us, so you told us about the journey. You told us about how you were able to face your fears when it came to public speaking and pushing forward in your cause, tapping into your why. Can you tell us a little bit more now about the podcast and how people can reach out to you?
Okay. Okay. Definitely. Definitely. So before I start that, I wanted to comment, backtrack a little bit, and I also wanted to add that, you know, the more you also think about what others think of you, what you are internally doing is that you are giving them power, right? And I think that everyone is born with an amazing potential and amazing power to do great things. You just have to kind of understand and to be aware of who you are. You could easily look in the mirror and see someone totally different, right? And and it's really up to you as a choice to really look at you, for you. And this does require a lot of digging. It does require a lot of, like, deep insight. It takes a lot of alone time, a lot of solitude. And for me, traveling is a passion of mine. I've been very blessed to travel all over the world, and from that, I've been able to learn a lot about myself. So, to your point about the a podcast. So the podcast was kind of born out of I started my platform called TheChefDoc 3 years ago, January 2017, and it's a online platform used to kind of educate. People can go there for resources, things like that, and to learn more. And so the podcast started in May of last year, and it was actually by accident. Actually, I was nearing the end of finishing my book, Thrive Medicine, and I was finishing the audiobook version. And my web designer at the time, he said, why don't you try out this online recording website? And at the time, I didn't, when I looked at it, it was geared towards a podcast. And I was like, I've never listened to a podcast before that. And I was like, okay, let me try this out. And then slowly but surely, it just became, something like, I was like blown, away. So what I realized was that, blogging wasn't really my shtick, vlogging wasn't really my shtick. And so, I consider myself a natural conversationalist, and I love hearing about people's stories. I'm sure you do too,
Oh,
Charmaine.
yes. Oh,
And,
yes. Indeed.
and I wanted, I know, right? And I mean, your episodes are great, and it seems like you're having so much fun. And I just really enjoyed this, and I wanted to create something that was very casual, very like having coffee with friends. And I wanted to kind of pick the brains off of other doctors, off of other chefs, off of other RDs and coaches, and all these very, 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 very passionate people, to kind of bring their energy to the conversation, and to pretty much elaborate why they do what they do, why they get up in the morning, what fuels them. And so I wanted to capture that into my podcast. So the podcast focuses on three things: plant-based living, it focuses on emotional wellness, and it focuses on, surprisingly, thriving. So and so I've been doing that since May. We are getting close to 14,000 hits.
Whoop, whoop, whoop,
And,
whoop.
it's
Awesome.
been broadcast. It's been heard in 87 countries so far. So
Oh, that is so awesome. So awesome. Love hearing that because I love podcasting and it's like my baby. And I love hearing when other physicians are in it and they're like seeing the fruit of this beautiful art form and they're able to make an impact. I mean, because just think about that. So you're in all these countries, you're in 80 plus countries, and you have had 14,000 times someone has listened to your voice and learned from your show and engaged with you. I mean, that is just, to me, it's like mind blowing. It's absolutely
Thank
mind
you.
blowing. And
Thank you. Thank you.
it's just such an amazing thing, and it's so hard to explain it, like I try to tell people and they're like, why are you so excited about podcasting? I'm like, it's just so exciting. I don't know. It's so
Yeah,
exciting.
yeah, yeah. That's what resonated with me the most. And I was like, it really fuels me. I do, I don't know about you, Charmaine, but I did like everything myself. I didn't know what I was doing. So it was a total DIY project.
Oh
And
yeah. Oh yeah. Been
besides
there.
the sound quality that I delegate to, a good friend of mine that does sound engineering, I do everything, myself. And, it's like, I can't trust someone else to do it, because it's, you're very nitpicky in that way. But I wanted to mention a couple of things with podcasting is that, as a family physician that I do, right. I do more outpatient medicine. I do primary care. And what I see is that, I love counseling people, right? I love coaching people. But, under the umbrella of modern healthcare, we don't get that much time, right? And so we don't get that much time with the patient, and it's very limited. It's only a one-to-one conversation. And so what podcasting does, and as you can, guys see, is that you can talk to so many more people much more efficiently and much more effectively. And so, I wanted to, kind of like public speaking and conferences and workshops, is that I wanted to be able to reach as many people as possible. And by that, and it grows exponentially, because one person is going to tell another person, and another person is going to tell another person. And so that is how it has its, multiplicative, effect. And it is an amazing thing. And I don't know, it just very, very, it just fuels my fire. So I love it.
Oh yeah, totally. We're on the same page. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Yes. No, it's just so much fun. And the other thing too about it, I mean, as a physician podcaster, yes, it definitely does, as you say, extends you beyond the initial encounter. So for example, I mean, your podcast definitely talks about things related to health. This podcast talks more about your mindset and your mental state, doing like more like personal development type of things. So, we could have a conversation, right? Just the two of us have a conversation, but now this conversation is shared with so many more people. So like we have had, so far we've had Dr. Ashley Moss, tune in live. And then we've also had Dr. Ellington tune in live and say that she's benefiting from our conversation. I mean, this is not something that we would have if we just had our conversation, just the two of us. So it's so powerful in that way. So it can extend you beyond the exam room. It can extend you beyond the coffee table where you're talking with that colleague. It is just phenomenal in that way. That's the reach and the impact that it has. So yeah, no, I'm always super stoked to talk to another physician podcaster because of that. It's like nothing that we ever learned in medicine. It's like the complete opposite. I was telling somebody this the other day too, like in medicine, we have a very structured lineage, like a linear pathway. Okay. And so, where we go to medical school and then we go to residency and then we go to fellowship, or if we decide to do that, and then we go into practice. Right. And then when we're practicing, we have, we base our practices on evidence-based medicine, or maybe something that's anecdotal that's passed on and become the standard of care. But there's a guideline. Okay. There's no gray area. There's no stepping outside of the zones, right? Because if you're a cowboy or cowgirl, guess what? You're left hanging out to dry if there's any problem, right? If something happens to the patient and you were doing your own thing, you have no leg to stand on. So we don't think outside the
Yeah.
box in general as doctors, right? We go with what has worked. We go with what is out there as far as a fund of knowledge. We don't experiment and get all, creative. With podcasting, you can get as creative as you want. You could utilize that right brain to the wazoo. Like you could literally just be creative, be colorful, get up, dance if you want to, shake your hands if you want to, change your show up if you want to, do whatever. It is so liberating. It is so
Yeah.
liberating. And I believe that it actually makes us better doctors. Why? Because we don't get to practice this side of us. We don't get to
Yeah.
practice the artistic side of us. And so when that part of your brain is stimulated, it sharpens the other part and it allows for you to deliver even better
Hmm.
care. This is my philosophy. I don't know. I don't know if it's really
Yeah.
true, but it's what I've noticed. And so
No,
this
because
makes me even more excited, like to see other colleagues who are in the space.
no, I totally agree. And the thing is that you hit it on the nail on the head is that, medicine is two sides. It's the science and the art, right? And we don't really practice the art of it. And by art is really our unique and personal expression of, it. Of course, medicine is not like a canvas of paint or like a song, you know what I'm saying? Like medicine is medicine. It's very structured, very, but this is a way kind of expressing that creative side, like you said, and it's wonderful. For me, I've always known that I don't ever want to, downplay it. I don't ever want to suppress it in any way, shape, or form because that is who I am, and there is no hiding, who I am. You know what I'm saying? So let that be, a takeaway is that, you got to be able to live your authentic life. Guys, life is too short. Life is too short. And with the pandemic, life is too fragile. So basically, what do you have to lose with, besides living your most authentic life, like
Exactly.
living, just who you are? Like, who cares what anyone says? Who cares, what your mom says, your dad says, your colleague, even your significant other, your family and friends. Like, if it's not, if you don't have that gut intuitive, message, that memo that comes to you and says like you're not being who you are, you need to change up something different. I think it was Steve Jobs, co-founder of Apple, that says that if you're not staring at the mirror and you are just hating, just waking up and doing, am I going to hate what I'm going to do, what I'm about to do, for today and for the rest of my days? You have to change something, right? And I'm paraphrasing. I mean, that's pretty much what you got to do. You got to self-reflect, think about where you are in life and see, am I on the right track?
Absolutely.
And that's okay if it's not what you had planned for yesterday, a year ago, or 5 years ago, because it changes. That's what life is. It's an ebb and flow. So you kind of have to look at yourself and self-reflect and see, okay, is this the right direction for myself? You know what I'm saying? And definitely practice with that gut, definitely practice with that intuition. And also check in, do some things that foster you. Journal, do poetry, write. If people like to physically exercise, go sing, you know what I'm saying? Or do
Right.
something like podcasting and really, really churn out that creative expression of yourself.
No, absolutely. It's so important. It is so important. Yeah. No, those are all great suggestions because yeah, we tend to, unfortunately, as we're going along and we're getting all of this knowledge, we tend to forget that part of ourselves. And so it's so important to tap into that, however we decide to do that. And it just helps us to be more complete people and more relatable and just able to make that much more difference in the lives of those that we care for. And then there is a comment from Kathy on LinkedIn, and she says that she appreciates you, Dr. Zhu, and all that you do as far as taking care of the whole patient, not just giving pills, but looking at the whole patient, like how you become healthy overall.
Mhm.
Awesome. Awesome. Oh my goodness. I can't believe I've been chatting for like 30 minutes already. time went by super quick because we're having such a great conversation. That happens. That happens. And so, we're at that part of the show where we do the fill in the blanks. Are you ready, Dr. Zhu, for fill in the blanks? Are you ready?
Yeah.
All right.
Go
You look
ahead.
ready. You look ready. All right. So the first one is, to me, fearless freedom means.
Fearless freedom means like liberty, being able to be who I am, being authentic, living the life that I've always wanted and envisioned for myself.
Awesome. And then the next one is, if I am fearless, I will.
Conquer anything.
Love that. And this is what I want to hear. My battle cry is, what is your battle cry?
I love to tell people to thrive on. That's what I like to say to people.
Thrive on. Love it.
Yeah.
Well, Fearless Freedom Tribe, you heard it here first. You heard the battle cry, thrive on. So those are your marching orders from this episode. And if you are looking to reach out to Dr. Zhu, then you can check him out on the Thrive Bites podcast, or you can reach him. So, Colin, you are at Dr. Colin Zhu on all the platforms, or are you the Chef Doc on all the platforms?
So my website is www.chefdoczhu.com, ChefDocZhu.com. Pretty much takes you to everywhere else from there. All my resources, recipes, book, podcast, things like that. But you can find my podcasts on all the major podcast platforms like Apple, Spotify, things like that. Thrive Bites, 2 words.
Awesome. Yay. All right. And so if you're watching this live, thank you for everybody that tuned in and who commented. I appreciate each and every one of you. And so we had a bunch of comments from LinkedIn. Fabulous. And we had a comment from YouTube as well. So thank you for popping on. And so if you're on Facebook, you know what you need to do, right? Friends, share absolutely awesome content with other friends. So go ahead and share this with a friend. And if you're on YouTube, go ahead and hit the subscribe button right there and tune in for more awesome content that's coming from this channel. And I thank you so much, Dr. Zhu, for being on the show today. It was super exciting. I was totally fangirling because I love being on your show, and I was super excited for our time together on my show. So, boom, there it is. So have an amazing
so
day.
much.
Yes, no problem. Thank you for being on here.
Thank you so much. It's been a privilege, and I had so much fun on your show. So I can't wait to tell everyone about it.
Whoop, whoop.